So we're going to get this started, and this is all about real estate to help you in the real estate career. So we have a couple of speakers and a couple of my friends here. So I'm going to start with Dr. Joe. So he's going to be our first speaker tonight. Then later on we're going to have a panel. So we have people that you can see we have lenders, we have real estate title companies, and I know we have a lot of wholesaler, new people that are in real estate, people that want to increase their portfolio in real estate. So without further ado, I will just invite Dr. Joe Samuel. So can we give him a round of applause while he comes?
Okay. Hello everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yes. Okay, my name is Joe Baltimore, and some people call me Dr. Joe. And I want to give a shout out to all the organizers here. I think they did a fantastic job. What do you think? Okay. So what I'm going to talk about is essentially what I do. Is I buy houses, fix them up, and I keep my houses. And I'm going to talk a lot of, well, I've only got 20 minutes. So I'm going to try and cram as much as I can in 20 minutes. But I do have some free e-books. So I think my assistant, if you want to get more information, I got an e-book and also a tenant screening checklist, which you can download and sort of get more information there. So she's going to pass the information around, just scan it and download the information for free. Essentially, again, who I am, my name is Joe Baltimore. I'm a real estate investor. I was born in Ghana, and when I was 5 years old, my parents moved to England. And then I came to the United States in 85, sorry. And I bought my first house in Washington, D.C. area for $47,000. And I watched an infomercial, and what those guys said, you too can do this. And so I ended up buying a house. I knew nothing. You knew 1,000% more than I did. I bought my first house. It was a complete, utter disaster. I don't want to bore you with the details, but let me just say that my first tenant didn't pay me for 6 months. Okay? So that was my entree into real estate investing. Tenants from hell. All they gave me was headaches, frustrations, and so on. Now looking back, it's sad to say, but it was probably a good experience because I learned everything what not to do. And so after that experience, I bought another house, I bought another house, bought another house, and kept on going until 2003, when my income from my rental properties equaled what I was making from my job. And therefore I was able to transition from being a 9-to-5 employee to be a full-time real estate investor. So yeah, so what I'm going to kind of talk about today is some of those lessons learned during that time. And because I think that there's a saying, a wise man learns from his mistakes, but a genius learns from other people's mistakes. So I'm going to try and share with you some of my mistakes so you guys can become geniuses. How about that? I'm going to make you all a genius in 20 minutes. And so on. So as I said, one thing I learned, I do a buy and hold model. And the reason why I do a buy and hold, I've done fix and flips, and I've done a couple of wholesales before, but the reason why I like the buy and hold model is that at the end of the day, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, the real money in real estate, especially in the single family arena, is through appreciation. Especially if you're in an appreciating market. And so I do a lot of my investing sort of closer into the DC area, where it is an appreciated market, but also there are appreciated markets in the Baltimore area as well. So yes, you can make some decent cash flow through, you can get money through cash flow, but also I think the real money is the appreciation. Now, if you believe that, that is the thing. If you believe that, then the issue is you need to deal with the issue of tenants. Okay? Because it all sounds good. You buy a house today, hold it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and then miraculously you make all this money. But in the middle, there's this whole issue of you got to find tenants, you got to attract them, the good ones, You got to manage that relationship such that you can realize the true power of real estate. So that's what I'm going to talk about, is that sort of that delta. How do you make it work from year 1 through year 5, through year 10, through year 15, and so forth. Let me just suffice to say that my longest tenant is, I have a number of properties. The longest tenant I have is 25 years. Okay, I have 15-year tenants, 19-year tenants, 18-year tenants, 12-year tenants, and so on. That is not to brag, because that's not the point here. The thing is that what I learned is that if you really, truly want to do well as a buy and hold investor, as a BRRRR investor, as a all that kind of stuff, you've got to attract good quality tenants. Okay, you've got to, because if you don't, you won't do it. You won't survive. Okay, you'll say, I'm done, I'm out of here. I don't know if any of you guys had tenants from hell before. Okay, you know what that is, okay. So my first family was the tenant from hell. They didn't pay me for 6 months. Okay, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about the landlord-tenant laws, and they were giving me the runaround. Okay, I didn't know. I said, what in the world did I do to deserve this? And so on. So okay, so if you believe that you need to have good tenants, then the question becomes, how do you find these people? Who are these people? What are they looking for? What are they not looking for? Who do they want to rent from? And why should they rent from you? Okay? So let's just role play here. I'm going to start picking on people. People I don't know. Okay, there's this young lady here. What's your name?
Yemi.
Yemi.
Yes.
Okay, let's say Yemi is a tenant. Okay? She's what I call a tier 1 tenant. And a tier 1 tenant, in my opinion, is a tenant that pays you. Okay, what? Two. We all agree with that. If anyone disagrees, let me know. Okay, we're looking for a tenant who's going to pay us, right? That's number 1. Number 2, we're going to look for is a tenant that's going to take care of our property. Okay, we're going to look for a tenant. Number 3 is a tenant that's going to be pleasant to deal with. Okay, and number 4 is we're going to look for a tenant who hopefully will stay a long time. Okay, because anybody who owns property realizes that the real biggest expense is the turnover. Whenever somebody leaves, you got to paint it again, you got to clean it again, you got to go through that whole ritual again, and all the cash flow that you've made over the months gets wiped out. Everybody agree with that? So we need people who are going to stay a long time. Okay, so Yemi is a tenant that fits that criteria. Okay, now William is William's an investor, and let's have a look. What's you? Yeah. Gabe. Okay. So William, Gabe, and I are landlords, investors. Okay. We all got our own properties that are vacant. We're looking for a tenant. Okay, and we want to attract Yemi. Everybody got me? Because Yemi is a tenant who's going to pay the rent, take care of the house, pleasant to deal with, and looking for a place to stay a long time. Okay? So we all want her. Okay? We don't want Peter. Okay? He's the guy who just got evicted yesterday. He's the guy who just trashed the house. Okay? And so I don't particularly want Peter. Maybe Shane wants Peter.
Peter, come on, man, I got to do that.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, you covered it. Okay, so we all want Yemi. So the question is, why should Yemi choose my house, William's house, or Gabe's house? Do you follow me? You've got to ask yourself, why should she pick either of those our houses? Because we're in competition for her. And that's how I see it. And that's how I learned this the hard way. Okay, because if I don't make it my property attractive to Yemi, she's going to go to William, and so forth. And I'm going to be stuck with Peter. Okay? No offense, Peter. Okay, so this tier 1 tenant is a tenant that essentially has standards. Yemi is not going to live anywhere. Okay? She's not going to rent from anybody. Okay? This is a fundamental shift in a lot of landlord thinking. Because most landlords, it's all about, hey, I want somebody who's going to come into my house, pay my rent. I don't want to see them. I don't want to hear from them. All I want is their money. That's it. Okay, just keep it simple. You don't bother me. Just pay your rent, and we'll all be happy. Okay, and that's how most landlords think. Okay, but that's not what Yemi is looking for. She's looking for a landlord who's going to take care of her property. If something goes wrong, he's going to fix it. Correct? Okay. She's looking for a place where, if she's got a family, the families are safe. Okay, and she doesn't have to worry about getting shot at every other day and things like that. Okay, she's looking for certain things. She knows the kind of landlord she wants to rent from, but she also knows the type of landlord she does not want to rent from. Okay, someone that's going to look down on her, my way or the highway, you pay your rent, just be quiet, and so on. She doesn't want that kind of person. Okay, everybody follow me so far? So therefore, that's what happened, is that now we are vying for her attention in order to attract her to move into my house. Okay? So that's number one, is that you have to first of all understand the type of tenant you're looking for, which is what I call a tier 1 tenant. Okay, and what are these tenants looking for in terms of where they want to live, who they want to rent from, who they don't want to rent from, and therefore you can then position your product, your house, to attract and appeal to her. Everybody follow me so far? Okay. So if you do that, then the next thing becomes, okay, once she comes into my home, or once she makes an application, I have to screen for her to make sure that she is, in fact, who she says she is. This is where screening comes in. Okay, this is the key part of this whole thing, is your ability to screen, your ability to sort of differentiate Yemi, what she says, and who she really is. Because Yemi could be a wolf in sheep's clothes. Okay? Let me give you an example. I just finished a house about 3 weeks ago in Washington, D.C. And in that house I had 6 applications. Okay? And these conversations I had with the people, they all sounded pretty good. They said what I wanted to hear. I'm going to pay your rent. I love the house. I'm your ideal tenant, and so forth. So they look good on paper. The next thing is to verify the information to make sure that what they're saying is in fact true. Okay, and that's where the background searches, background investigations come in. So what I do, I call the current landlord, and I call the previous landlord. Okay? The current landlord for one of the tenants who I was going to select, he said, no way would I rent to her again. Okay, she destroyed my house. Okay, she set fire to stuff and threw it over to the neighbor's yard. Okay? I mean, when I was speaking to her, she was perfect. I was literally gonna say, this is the one. The one, okay? But digging behind, you find out it's not really the case. And that's what I'm saying. And most investors, we're sort of consumed by, okay, we need to get this place rented. And therefore, as long as somebody can pay me, we're going to be good. And that's not the case. You have to dig behind the surface and ask a lot of questions. I also go to the people's homes to see how they keep their homes. Because how the house is today is how your house is going to be in 3 months. Okay, so landlord verifications, income, credit, home visits. Okay? Now, I have selected Yemi. That is part 1. That in itself is not enough for Yemi to stay in my house. I have to make sure that the relationship is a good relationship between landlord and tenant. Okay? So how do I do that? How do I get 25-year tenants? How do I get 15-year tenants? How do I get 18-year tenants? How do you do that? Okay? You do that by, okay, we got Mother's Day, what, 2 weeks from now? Every one of my tenants gets Mother's Day bouquets. Okay? Every Christmas, all my tenants get Christmas presents. If the kids get A's at school, I give them $50. Okay? If something goes wrong with the house, I fix it. Okay? I know you won't believe this one. We have a timeshare in Massanutten, Virginia. So all my tenants get free vacations.
How do you pay for this? How do you make money?
All what I've just said costs less than 150 bucks. Bouquets of flowers, 30 bucks. Okay? Christmas presents, 30 bucks. 60. Okay, 30, 30, 60. What's it called? Christmas presents, okay, 30 bucks of bouquets, 30 bucks of Christmas presents. A's at school, 50 bucks. 60 and 50 is 110. Okay? Bouquet, what's it called? Vacations are free. Because we have a time for chair, we can invite guests, so it's free for me. Okay? But to the family, this is an ideal opportunity. Okay? I'm trying to differentiate myself from William. I'm trying to differentiate myself from Gabe. Okay? I'm explaining to Yemi, this is what you're going to get if you rent from me. Okay? He doesn't stand a chance. Okay? He doesn't stand a chance. Okay? Because we are all vying for her. We don't want this guy. He's a good guy. We want her. You follow me? So it's, once she's in the house, you have to manage that relationship such that they stay. And that's how you get your 5-year, 10-year, 15, 20-year tenants. I do a lot of Section 8s as well. But again, we don't have too much time, I think. But that's just a snapshot of who I am, what I do. There's a lot behind this thing. I do have, what's it called? That's it. You've got the download. I'm going to have, for those people who are interested and want to learn more, we're going to have a free, what's it called, a sort of mastermind session, Q&A session. So again, go to my table at the back where you get more information about that. It's all free. I want to help you guys do what I do. It's a great business. It's a wonderful business. And I think you all can do this. Okay? So hopefully that was helpful. And hopefully next time this guy will give you more time.
Before you go, Dr. Joe, so because I got a lot of people here that are real estate investors, they have over 150 properties and stuff. I got a question before I ask people. What about the tenant give you a wrong landlord number? Okay. Or his cousin or his sister number as the previous landlord?
Sure. Okay. So,
That's happened to me.
okay, yeah, so Peter just got evicted, okay? And so no landlord's going to rent to him. So he's going to say his landlord is William. And in fact, William is his buddy. Okay? Because he knows that if he gives the real landlord's name, which is George, okay, I'm going to call George, and George is going to say, whatever you do, don't rent to this guy. Okay? So he's going to say, my landlord is William. Everybody got me? Okay, so before I call, quote unquote, William, I check the public records to find out who actually owns this house. So according to the public records, the house is owned by George, not William. You follow me? And so therefore, when I call William, I know there's a red flag. So William's going to go along. Oh yeah, George is a great guy. Peter's a great guy. He pays his rent on time. No, I highly recommend him, and so on. He's going to go along with the program. I'm going to go along with the program as well. Okay. And at the end, I'm going to say, well, William, by the way, who is George? And there's going to be a silence. Okay, I don't know who George is, or whatever it is. And well, I'm going to say, well, William, you told me that you're the owner of the house. Yes, I am. Well, according to the public records, the owner of the house is George. So who are you? And that's when, oh, my phone, battery's dying. Can I call you back? And that's where that stuff comes.
So I want to give like just 2 questions within the audience, please. So just 2 people, 1 person on this side. Oh, we got, so nobody on that side. So we got 2 people right. So before I bring Mark.
Okay, thanks so much. So Yemi is a good tenant, right? And so 5 years along the line, something happens to her job. She runs into issues. How do you handle that? Like she's now unable to pay her rent.
Okay. So the scenario is that Yemi is a great tenant, but she's lost a job. I've been through 4 real estate cycles, okay? And so I know how this plays out. And that's why I do a lot of rentals to Section 8, okay? Because it's really important to have a reliable income stream. if you have a great tenant like Yemi and they lose their job, it's a very, very uncomfortable discussion. You know, she can't pay. So what are you going to do? She can't stay there for free, but she's a good person. So there's two scenarios that's going to happen here. One is, if she doesn't have a voucher, then what I try to do is to find out there's lots of different organizations that assist with rents. Okay, emergency sort of funding organization. So I have well, not me, but my assistant has a list of all those different organizations. So we'll work with her to kind of refer her to some of those organizations to get some assistance. Okay, because she's a good person. I don't want to evict her. She's just going through a temporary difficult patch. So you try and work with them, and but she doesn't have much money. And so there are organizations out there that can assist. That's number one. Number two is that if you have a voucher holder and she loses her job, it doesn't really matter, because all they do is go back to the housing authority and Yemi's rent will go down and the housing authority's portion goes up to pick up the difference. So that's what I like about the voucher program, whether it be the housing choice voucher, Section 8 or whatever. There's a lot of bad rap about the Section 8 program, but what I found is that there's a lot of good families in there, really, really good families who are just looking for an opportunity to live in a nice house in a nice area and to rent from a good landlord. And so if you can screen well, which is the key, which is what's covered in the ebook, if you can screen well, you can attract those families.
That's fair enough. How many people have Section 8 tenant right here? Section 8 tenant? Oh, okay, good. Let me get this question, then I bring it up.
How's it going, Dr. Joe? One thing I appreciate is your email marketing. It's definitely on point there, you know.
Okay.
But I wanted to, you know, elaborate, if you can elaborate a little bit more on the landlord situation, because that's a real thing. Let's say Yemi is the one, you know, the tenant that's the A star. You know, mention you call and you mention the approach that you take, and you know that person that she refers knows the owner's name. What is something, you know, tangible that we can use to be able to, you know, try to get as qualified as a landlord, a previous landlord contact as possible?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you answer this in 1 minute.
In 1 minute, okay. There are professional tenants out here who know how to play the game. Okay, they know more about the laws than you do. They know more about what they can get over on landlords better than you do. The one advice I would give you, I mean, there's a lot to that question, it's a great question. Spend a day, if you can, at the landlord-tenant court. Just spend a day there. Go in the back of the room and just listen. You'll see all there the results of failed relationships. You'll hear all the excuses, you'll hear all the sob stories, you'll hear it all, and you'll see how lawyers handle it, how judges handle it, and also you can take notes. You say, oh my God, that's a good one, I never heard that one before. You know, and so on. You learn so much from other people's mistakes. That's why I said before, a wise man learns from his mistakes. A genius learns from other people's mistakes. If you spend a day down at landlord-tenant court, you'll learn from all those other people's mistakes. Therefore, you become a genius because you don't have to learn from your mistakes. You're learning from their mistakes. So that's really, you know, that's a lot to your question. I can spend all day on that one, but that's the quick point. Learn from other people who are seasoned. Learn from other people who've experienced. I've been through 4 of these cycles. I know how it plays out. There's other people in this room who have a lot of experience as well. But again, go to the back of the table there. We have a free session where you can ask me all the questions that you want, and I'll spend more time with you. Again, we got a table in the back. Just take the card, and let's see you there. Okay?
Thank you. Let's give it up for Dr. Joe. Thank you. And the next person I'm gonna call, you know, is, you know, how many people are Baltimore real estate guy? You know, if you invest in Baltimore, if you don't know Mark, so probably you just get started. So I'm going to invite Mr. Mark Owens. Let's give it up for him.
Thanks, sir. Everybody hear me all right?
Can you still hear me all right?
No.
Can you see me now?
Can you hear me? All right, so minute, 20 minutes. God, it's gonna be really tough because I usually do this like 2 hours. So I'm gonna give you 2 hours worth of information in 20 minutes. There's only one note you want to take. Write down my email address. mark@markowens.com. It's the only thing you need to do. And then if you want a refresher on some of the things that I talked about tonight, drop me a line. I'm going to write one email and I'm going to copy and paste it to 100 people. So I don't want you sitting down, spending your time trying to write stuff down, and then you miss half of what I'm saying because you're busy writing. So do that. So the first thing is, anybody here who knows, who's like, who the hell is Mark Owens? I know some of you don't know me. All right. So let me just go through this. I just wrote some notes for myself so I would kind of stay on track. So the first thing is I put in here is like, don't judge a book by its cover. We all heard that, right? Because you miss a lot of good books when you do that. So why am I even mentioning that now? If you look around this room right now, you've got hard money lenders in here. You've got my real estate agent in here. You've got one of the biggest contractors in Baltimore City, Aaron Alberti, sitting in the back. You've got commercial brokers in here. You've got hard money lenders. You've got all the resources, and wholesalers. You've got all the resources you need right in this room right here to launch your career if you're new to this. So when you look at somebody like me, you know, we just make first impressions about people. But I just want to give you a little bit of background about me before the real estate stuff, just to show that just about anybody can do this business. Up until the age of 30 years old, I was a hardcore heroin and coke addict, in and out of jails and prisons and rehabs, and literally robbing drug dealers and stores and a bank and some other stuff. And I got my stuff together. So you can start at the bottom. When I got out of jail, everything I would fit in the trunk of your car. And I was 30 years old, 29. Bought my first rental when I was 37. Retired around the age, semi-retired around the age of 50. Now I'm 50, just turned 57. And I would say I'm like 99% retired. And I did it with buy and hold real estate. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that I did that enabled me to launch that career. But before I do that, I want to say this. Why should you pay any attention to me? Because there's a lot of people out here that are landlords and all that stuff. And the first thing I put in here is maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't pay any attention to me at all. Depends on what your goals are. I started in February 2002 when I bought my first rental. 4 years later, I quit my job. I was making $150,000 a year teaching computer certification classes in colleges all over Maryland and Pennsylvania, and also teaching some federal contract stuff. It's pretty incredible. I get out of jail in 1994, and 5 years later, I'm making $150 grand a year. Up until, well, this time last year, I owned over 100 rental units. I sold 2/3 of them last year. I have experience with single-family homes. I've owned a bunch of apartment buildings, like average, like mid-size, like 10 to 18 units. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars wholesaling. I've done about 200 wholesale deals. The average profit on those was about $9,000, so just do the math. And I've succeeded through every turn in the market cycle. Now, Dr. Joe and I have a lot in common. We also have some different strategies that we use. Like he talked about appreciation, which is awesome if you can get it. If you bought rental properties in 2006 for appreciation, it took you 15 years to break even. So cash flow is the king, because cash flow is what pays for the roof when it's leaking, and the sewer line, and the tenant that doesn't pay rent for 6 months. The other one's paying that cash flow is enough to support you. So the cash flow for me was what was the king. But before I get to that, I want to talk about how can you pay for it, because for a lot of us, the biggest obstacle to real estate is, man, I only got $600. How am I going to buy a house? I got no money. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. For most of us, when I started, I was putting 10% down. That's what it was back in 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put 10% down, finance the rest, pay closing costs. I was buying turnkey stuff because I didn't know anything. I'm a computer guy. That's what I was doing. And, you know, I ain't got time to get fixing up houses. I don't know how to do it. I don't know anybody that knows how to do it. I didn't know any landlords. I didn't know anything. So I was buying turnkey stuff. It was 2005. I was doing some retail flips, and I'm not real good at retail flips. I always like overdo the properties, and it's just, at the end, I just want to sell it. I don't even care if I lose money. I just want to get rid of it. And I was always afraid to like do them because I'm thinking like, man, what if I can't sell it? Then what's going to happen? I'm stuck with this damn house. And there's these people called hard money lenders that'll lend you the money to buy the properties, and if you find the right one, they'll give you the money to rehab the property too. And so what happened was I thought, well, I guess I could borrow the money from Rex Ross was the guy I was using back then. I think it was like, it might have been 15% and 3 points. The first time somebody told me 15%, I thought like, man, that is hard money. I mean, it's like, Jesus Christ. I thought it was like some mafia stuff. And so I was borrowing money from him to buy these houses, renovate them, and then sell them on the market. And then I thought, well, I guess if I can't sell it, I can just maybe I'll just rent it out to somebody and then I'll refinance it. And then I'll just pay my hard money lender back like that. And then I thought of it. I was like, hey, wait a minute. I can refinance the property and keep it and pay the lender back, and I can get the house with nothing out of my pocket. So I tried it. I bought a 15-unit building in Forest Park. Probably about 6 months later, it was 8 apartments, 6 and 7 commercial spaces. The 8 apartments were vacant, needed renovation. I borrowed money, renovated the apartments, filled them with tenants, refinanced out with, back then it was First Mariner Bank, paid my hard money lender back, and ended up with a 15-unit building with maybe $250,000 in equity, great cash flow, with 0 out of my pocket. That's called the BRRRR method. I thought I invented it. If I wrote a book back then, I wouldn't be standing here now. Apparently, it's another well-known strategy that a lot of people don't know about. And listen, if you want to come spend a weekend with me and pay me 50 grand, I'll teach it to you. Or you can just listen to me right now and I'll tell you. So the BRRRR, I would suggest you look this up on Bigger Pockets. There's some great articles. If you Google Mark Owens BRRRR, you'll probably see a YouTube video about it. You better not be writing this down, just email me. So the BRRRR method stands for B is buy with somebody else's money, not your money. The R, the first R is renovate. You're going to fix it up. The next R is rent it out. The next R is refinance it. Then they get this other little R on the bottom. This little one. Repeat. Do it again. And it works. And so what happened was, once I discovered that I could buy these buildings and get equity, if they're single family homes, maybe 10, 15, 20,000, 30,000 apartment buildings in the hundreds of thousands, then that became my choice method of buying properties. I was getting equity and cash flow with very little out of my pocket. Most of the time, nothing out of my pocket. So I did single families. I did a 10 unit, a 13 unit, a 14 unit, a 15 unit, an 18 unit, a 7 unit, a whole bunch of houses. And I did all those with nothing out of my pocket. So why am I telling you this? Because you can do it too. There's nothing special about me. The most valuable part of this room, I'm actually going to skip one of my slides right now, but the most valuable part of this presentation is not me, and it's not any of the other speakers. The most valuable people here in this room are the people you're sitting next to, and behind you, and the row behind you. This is your network, and your power is in your network. And that's where your wealth is going to be. I could lose everything I've got today. Something could happen. And hopefully not. But if it does, I could get it all back in less than half the time. And I'd get twice as much in less than half the time, based on the people that I know, based on my network. And there's nothing special about that. I mean, I told you in my past, there's nothing special about me. I didn't come from money. I didn't come from a real estate family. I just kind of figured it out. So the BRRRR method is the way to do it. Now, I told you what the BRRRR method is. There's a formula that you want to know about if you're not familiar with it. Now, I've never heard anybody give it a real name, but I guess it's like the rehabber's formula or the wholesaler's formula. I'm going to tell you what the formula is and I'm going to break it down. It is 70% times the ARV. The ARV is the after repair value. So you're looking at a house that's a junker, right? It needs a whole lot of work, like I did. It needs a lot of work. And you're thinking, man, if I fix that thing up, I'm going to keep these numbers simple. It'll be worth $100,000 all fixed up. It's right at 9th Street, Patapsco Avenue, down in Brooklyn. 100 grand. Then you multiply that times 70%. what is that, 70% of 100,000? You need to be able to do this math in your head. All right, $70,000. And then you think, well, how much money do I need to renovate it to make it worth $100,000? And then you call Aaron Alberti like 5 times. He will answer the phone on the 5th time, I promise. Maybe. And so you call Aaron and you tell him what you're doing, and Aaron or another contractor will give you an estimate. Maybe your estimate's $20,000 in renovation. And you put 20 grand in here, new kitchen, new bath, painted carpet, you're good. It's worth it. That's all you need. You take that $20,000 off your 70. All right, what's 70,000 minus 50,000? Or 70,000 minus 20,000 is what? I don't hear anybody. Anybody paying any attention? 50,000? That's the maximum allowable offer. People call it the MAL. Maximum allowable offer. That's the most you should pay for that property. That's working backwards from the ARV. So now let's work it forwards. So you buy the house for 50. Then you got to pay some closing costs and all when you buy it. Prepay your insurance and stuff. Then you put your 20,000 in it. Now you're in it for maybe 72, 73, 74. Then you got your holding costs during maybe this 6 months from the day you buy it to the day you get a tenant in it. Where you're paying for, this is stuff they don't tell you about on HGTV. Taxes, insurance, utilities, water bills, the crackhead that broke in and tried to steal with the toilet. So that type of stuff. So you throw a few thousand in for that. So now you're all in for maybe 76, 77,000. You find a bank that's going to refi that at 80% of the loan to value. 80% LTV. So the bank sends an appraiser out, and it's incredible. The property appraised at $100,000, and they'll give you 80. Wow, that covers your closing costs for the settlement too. So you just bought this house, renovated it, ended up with $20,000 in equity and a cash flowing asset with 0 out of pocket. I mean, that works, right? And then you can do it again, and that's the little R, right? Repeat, 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 repeat. And you can go as far as you want. I stopped around a little over 100 units because I had enough. I was making enough money. Now I value my free time more than the money. And so that's why I stopped. I could have doubled it or tripled it, but I was like, I'm not going to be any happier with more money. I'll probably be less happy because I'm like, have more stress, more responsibility and stuff like that. And anybody that knows me knows I'm lazy. So it's like, I'm really looking for the freedom to like sleep late if I want or do whatever. So the BRRRR method is one of the big keys to really significantly expanding your portfolio and creating a lot of wealth in your life with very little out of your pocket. So if you're not familiar with that, Google it. Bigger Pockets has some great articles, stuff like that. How much time I got left, man? I got about another 30 minutes to talk. I'm getting stressed. So some of the important steps that I want to talk about, and this isn't necessarily just real estate related, this is just like life related, but it's especially relevant for us that want to create like incredible lives with our real estate investing. So the first thing I put on here is get your credit straight. If your credit's not good, man, you need to fix it. If you can't pay your cell phone bill, then nobody's going to lend you $100 grand to buy that house or $70,000 because a lot of them are going to check your credit. And if they see land, he's got judgments, he's not paying child support, he owes these bills, he owes his property manager money from a house he got kicked out of 4 years ago, they're not going to lend you money. So the first thing you want to do is get your credit straight. Next thing to do, which is really hard for a lot of us, is save some money because you're going to need it. I'm not saying you're going to need $100,000, but save as much as you can. The next thing, which I think is one of the most important parts of this business, is network your buns off. You want to get some business cards made up that identify you as a real estate investor. You want to hand them out to everybody. You also want to go to groups like this. There's a lot of events out there. There are meetups every week. There's a Friday lunch tomorrow that Marcy Ankelov runs at 2601 Wilkins Avenue. Is there every Friday at noon. There's usually like 15 people there. Different people all the time, but these are people that are doing it. And the people meet there because they want to share information and get the network, and they want to meet you too. I mean, because the more of us that all work together, the more money we all make. So you want to get to as many of these types of events as you can. These, meetups, the RIAs, the lunches, anything like that that you can. And you're going to start to notice, you're going to start to see some of the same people, Adam, and you're going to start to form relationships where everybody wins from that. The next thing is you want to maintain a great reputation. Your goal should be to be the most well-known real estate investor in the Baltimore area with the best reputation. And if you can do that, deals are going to come your way. And friendships and relationships are going to come your way. Educate yourself. Who hasn't read Rich Dad Poor Dad yet?
Say it again. I think
Who has not read Rich Dad Poor Dad yet? 3, 4 people. Man, what is wrong with you people? That's like the prerequisite. They shouldn't even, you got to put that, you can't even let people in here anymore without reading it. It's a life-changing book for a lot of us. It just gives you a different way of looking at things. So I would definitely suggest educate yourself. And Rich Dad Poor Dad isn't a real estate book, it's a philosophy book. Determine what types of returns you want. Do you want to get 10% on your money, 20, 30? When I started, I was looking for a cash-on-cash return of 30% on the money that I put out. So back then, I could buy a $50,000 house, rent it out for $850 a month. I would put $5,000 down plus a couple thousand for closing costs, and I would average over a 30% cash-on-cash return on my investment. Not counting mortgage pay down, not counting potential appreciation, just cash-on-cash return. So figure out what kind of cash-on-cash return you want, because cash-on-cash is what's going to give you the freedom. The cash flow is what is going to free you up, to where you can replace your W-2 income gradually with your rental income. And then finally, learn your market. Pick a market you want to invest in. Are you waiting for me to shut up? Are you sneaking up on me in the back? So learn your market. Like pick a market. I don't say, and listen, don't do this. Yeah, I'm going to invest in Baltimore City. Are you serious? I mean, there's like 30 zip codes. And you go to like 21212, and you got York Road, and you hit Tunbridge, and you take a left, and you go in 3 blocks, and they're $500,000 houses, and you take a right, and you go in 3 blocks, and it's crack houses. Same street, 4 or 5 blocks apart, same zip code. Which comps think the wholesaler's going to use? Yeah, that's how they get them New York, California people. So learn your market. And then finally, we all take different paths. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare yourself to me or Matt Derby, who's bought I think West Baltimore last year. Yeah, you don't want to compare yourself to other people. Just do one deal at a time and make sure it's a good deal. Don't just say, I want to buy like 10 deals before the end of the year, because you'll end up buying 10 bad deals. Just look for one good deal. And then after you get that, look for one good deal. And then maybe you'll get 10, maybe you'll get 20 good deals by the end of the year. Your goals are always subject to change. And there's nothing wrong with that. You could set a goal, then you're halfway to it and you realize, man, that's really not what I was thinking it was going to be. This looks better. And it's okay to do that. But you don't want to be the person that's chasing the next big thing over and over and over again. So pick one thing in the beginning. Pick rentals, pick wholesaling, pick retail flips. Don't try to do all 3 at the same time. And next, the last thing I'm going to say is the first deal you do is the hardest. It's like a girlfriend or boyfriend, or first one's the hardest. First time you kiss somebody when you're in my neighborhood, like we were 10, it was the hardest. And by the time we were 11, we were pros. But I grew up in Hampton, so it's true. And so with the first rental property that you buy, like that's it, man. That's it. It's the hardest one. It's scary, but you've got one thing that I didn't have. Like you're already so far ahead of me, it's not even funny. You've got a network now. You got people that you can talk to bounce ideas off. Like Dr. Joe was talking about some great tips that he used to help to screen his tenants. I'm a lot lazier than he is. I'm not going to have that long conversation. I'm going to be on the phone with a potential fake landlord for about 1 minute. I'm going to say, hey man, I'm just curious, by the way, who do you use for your lead testing? Well, you don't have a landlord. Because a landlord knows, I use Neil Roseman. They're going to be able to name their lead testing guy like that if they don't know what you're talking about. So that's it. Just ask little questions like that, like landlord questions. Who do you use for your rent court? Now you know, BS. So anyways, anybody have any questions before Matt chases me off the stage?
Now let me ask my question first.
All right, you want to ask your question first?
Okay. You said 80% of the LTV. Which bank does that? Because I know BCO, Finance of America, even Dominion and stuff, to do 75%, most of them probably need a 720 or whatever. So which bank does 80%? That's number one.
Let me start with that one.
Please.
Let me answer that question first. So right here, that bank right there,
Look at
see that? You got it everywhere you go, man. There they are. So, yeah, I just want to mention something. Like, I usually don't recommend banks because if I recommend a bank to you today, then when you need them 6 months from now, their criteria may have changed because it's a constantly changing environment, especially right now. But it's always like that. They might be doing, you know, like really a lot of loans in Baltimore City on class C- neighborhoods, and then the regulators step in and say, hey, you're too heavy in this class, this asset class, you can't do any more of those, and then they have to do something else. So if it's going to be like more than like 2 weeks from now, it's really hard to judge because the criteria is always changing.
So the next one is just, you said, because you know, we got a lot of stuff on the HD TV, people say, you don't need money, you don't, trying to help people that probably, I know we have a lot of experienced people right here, but people that are new, they tell you, you don't need money, you don't need nothing and stuff, no credit needed. Is that actually true?
If you want to buy my course for $9.99, when people are talking, when saying that stuff, you always have to look at it and say, okay, what's their ulterior, like what's their motive? Like, why are they saying this? And you might be asking the same thing about me. I'm not selling anything. I do coaching, but I'm not taking any more clients till maybe next year. I got enough right now, and I might not even take any next year. So I'm not selling anything. I'm just here because I enjoy spreading this information because it changed my life. I mean, like my life right now, I'm traveling like full time. And if I told you my itinerary for the rest of this year, you'd probably kick my ass in the parking lot. But it's real estate that did that. And what was your question? This happens every minute. It's like one of those Prevision commercials. The HGTV, yeah, those people, listen, man, I can't stand those TV shows because most of those people that are on there are complete failures in real estate. And they make money. There's a lot of real estate coaches that are failures in real estate itself, but they make a ton of money in coaching. So you always have to ask yourself, what is their motive when they're telling you that type of stuff? Like, what is it that they're really looking for? And the truth is, can you buy houses with nothing out of your pocket? Yes. I bought literally millions of dollars worth of real estate with zero out of my pocket. I walked away with money on a lot of them, including, like I said, my condominium on the ocean in the Cayman Islands that I'm going to in 3 weeks. And I did it with nothing out of my pocket. I put in an offer with owner financing. The agent said, we'll never take it. Actually, I'm sorry, I lied. I did offer $50,000 down. And it was principal only payments of $2,000 a month for 4 years with a balloon at the end. And she said he'll never take it. And then the next day she called me and told me he accepted my offer. So you gotta ask. But yes, you can do stuff with money out of your pocket all day long. And it's what I just told you, the Bird method, that's it. But the refi part's gonna kill you if your credit score is 611. So that's what I told you at the end. You wanna work on your credit score, bring that up. You wanna save as much money as you can. Because banks ain't gonna lend you no money. If you're not paying your other bills, they're not gonna lend you money. So it's really that important. And also, when I talk about your reputation, how important that is, hey, where are you going? Okay. All right, we're retiring you. So your credit score is part of your reputation. You might not like the sound of that, but it is. You know, somebody's got a credit score of 800, that means something. Your credit score is 500, that means something else, and it's not good.
Thank you. So, one question here, and another question over there. It's like you guys don't have a question here? Oh, okay, I got one.
Question about the Bird method. So I do buy and hold as well. So the rehab part for the first R, can you do that with tenants already in place? Because I've heard horror stories of you try to rehab with tenants in place and they'll milk their system of, oh, I'm inhaling this, or
Yeah,
can you do that?
I would not do that.
Okay.
I would not.
I would not do that. I'll tell you, like, there's somebody that I just had a conversation with last week that was kind of doing that, where they got in the jam, where they were doing some work in the bathroom, and the tenant was like, oh my God, I gotta take my baby to get lead tested because, you know, there's dust and this and that, and the person was really upset that they were gonna get in a big jam, and they ended up, you know, they worked through it and they got out of it, the tenant actually moved out. But yeah, I don't do any work on any significant, I'll do repair, you know, if something that breaks, I'll fix it, but I'm not gonna get in and do any kind of renovation with tenants living in the house. Not a chance.
So do you recommend if let's say for example, I have a property and an opportunity where a tenant is already in place, Section 8 tenant or regular tenant, but I want to buy it and then do a cash out refinance, but I want to maybe do some repairs so I can get maximum value for it.
Yeah, and listen, I don't blame you, but I wouldn't do that with the tenants in there.
Okay.
Because in order for you to buy it at the 70% minus repair costs, and then to bring it up, like you're not gonna buy it at 70% minus $2,000 and then make it a $100,000 house.
Okay.
Like you're not gonna just get in there and just paint the kitchen and increase the value. Like you're gonna have to do a significant amount of renovation. And you wouldn't wanna be doing that while you got tenants in there. And again, you know, maybe there's nothing wrong with the house or not, but there are people out there that wanna take advantage of and work the system however they can.
Right.
You know, so if they see an opportunity, they think you're rich, you got one rental property, everybody thinks you're rich. You know, it's just what they think, and it's perception. They think you got, you know, there's people that make $30,000 a year and they drive $80,000 cars. What's that all about? It's perception. They're trying to present themselves as a certain way to the world. To me, it just presents somebody who's probably stupid, because like the only people that care about expensive cars are poor people. People that got money don't give a shit what you drive.
Okay, last question.
My question is, how do the rising rates affect the BRR method?
Well, they don't affect the method if you run your numbers right. I mean, it's like, I use two spreadsheets. Well, not two. I use the first spreadsheet to run my BRR numbers to see how that's gonna shake out. And then I have another spreadsheet that I use which shows that after, when I do the refi with my 100%, now it's 100% financing because I'm getting all my money back for the lender. And then I can adjust the interest rate where it's like, you know, maybe it's 6, 6 1/4, 6 3/4, 7 1/4. When I was buying rental properties in 2002, I think the interest rates were typically 6.5% to 7%. And people today are like, oh my God, that's crazy. Well, that's what they were. You work with what you got. You know, people got spoiled. They think this 3.5% is normal. It's not normal. That was the result of coming out of the great, you know, recession. They had to do something. You know, people bought houses in Bel Air Edison for $150,000, and 5 years later they're worth $90,000, and then 15 years after that they're back up to what they paid for them to begin with. So you just got to adjust your numbers based on what it's going to be at that time. And you can find good deals in any market. Dr. Joe said he's been around for 4 market cycles. He can tell you, in the low markets you can buy, in the high markets you can buy. It doesn't matter if it's a good deal, it's a good deal.
Thank you, thank you. That's actually one of the questions for the panelists. So we're gonna actually treat that also. So, well, thank you. Can we give it up for Mrs. Knapp? You can sit down. I'm gonna call everybody to come on. Just sit down right there. Thank you. Thank you. So right now, I'm gonna call someone. I'm gonna call I mean, if you have been doing real estate in Baltimore, you will know some people. You know, they're actually the big guys in Baltimore. So this guy is a very nice guy. So you know, I think this. Actually, the first day we are meeting, but we have been texting back and forth. It has been, you know, been helpful. So, you know, he used to be into mortgage, so, you know, like at the bank and stuff. So I'm gonna invite Matthew Debbie while we're gonna start the panel. So Matthew Debbie first, okay? Can we give it up for him? Let's give it up for him, please. So next, I'm gonna invite, I'm gonna actually bring Dr. Joe back on the stage. So we actually want to have a panel section so that we have several questions. I have some questions here for the panelists, and I'll leave the floor open for questions. So I'm going to invite Dr. Joe. And now, the next guy I'm gonna call, if you're a real estate investor in Baltimore, you know the real player. This guy is actually probably the largest contractor in Baltimore. So if you're a real estate investor, you will know he's very busy. Like Mark was saying that if you pick him, if you call him, probably he's going to return your call after the 15th phone call. So that's how busy he is. So, I'm going to invite Aaron. He's a contractor, he's a real estate investor. He does over 100 deals in a year. So that's a lot. Combined, with people's deal and his deals, I'm going to invite Aaron about.
Sure.
And on the panelists, the last guy I'm going to invite is actually a big sponsor of this event and a partner. And we have been through a lot together, putting this together. This is actually our first event here, and this is going to be a yearly event. I will call it a conference. So the next one might be 3 or 2 days. So events that we're going to have several people. So, but I want to start off with the big guys in Baltimore. That's how I have all these guys. So I'm going to invite Mr. Thibault. Is actually is a lender, is an hard money lender. So if you need to fund your deal, he can help you with that, and it's very quick. Give it up, please. All right. So I'm gonna start. What I'm gonna do right here, it's I know we have a lot of people that are real estate investors. You have $150. Okay, let me do this. How many people have between $1 and $10? $1 and $10. Okay, I will move up. $10 to $50. Oh, okay, good. And I will move it up. $50 to $100. All right. Yes. $50 to $100. All right. So how many people are this? You have never started real estate. You are just about to getting started in real estate. You are new to investing in real estate. Oh, okay. Good. All right. So let me prepare your question. I will give.
Matthew, we're missing 100 plus.
Oh my God. Okay.
Come on, guys. Let's give some respect to our
Matthew.
panel.
So how many people? 100 plus. Matthew, come on. Yeah, Matthew have over $150. So that's a lot. So that's a lot of experience. He has done a lot of deals. So, as a wholesaler, I don't want to talk too much, so I'm going to get started. Please, you're going to share the mic. I'm very sorry. I tried to have a headset, but we're going to share the mic. So I have a couple of questions. If you have questions, what you can do is that I will come on this row first, then I will go on the other row, but I will only take 3 or 4 questions from each row. So, okay. So the first question I want to ask, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to direct some questions to a specific panel. So the first question is, what are the advantages of investing in real estate? I think we have had a lot of that. Building passive wealth, appreciation of assets. Again, what are the advantages of investing? And this is a question actually for probably new person, what are the advantages of investing in real estate, building passive wealth, appreciation of your assets? I will start with Matthew then on that. Yes, it's fine.
Man, that's kind of a loaded question there. A lot to unwrap. For us, we benefit a lot on the tax side because we're doing a lot of short-term deals, meaning contract assignments and flips. So the rentals can really offset a lot of income. In this market, flippers are making a lot of money, even the bad flippers. So you make 200 or 300 grand a year doing flips, and you don't put that money aside, Uncle Sam's going to come after you for 35-40% of that, which is could be 6 figures. So the tax shelter that you get from real estate, it's maybe not made out to be as big of a benefit as it is, because it can, again, I've seen people wipe out 7 figures in income just from the tax shelter that rentals provide.
Thank you. Can we give it up for him? Thank you. Any other person has question to us, regarding that? I don't going back and forth about that. What are the advantages of investing in real estate, building passive wealth? Anybody have question related to that? Okay, good.
One thing, just one more thing.
Sure.
I personally, not to get on a soapbox, but I guess I will. Passive income can be a bit misleading. I would call it more residual income than passive income. I think people get caught up with passive and that landlords are, well, Mark's doing it, but they're out in the Cayman Islands sipping on pina coladas all day, and because it's passive, and it can be passive. You can go a week and not really hear a whole lot from your tenants, but you can also go a week and get 5 figures in maintenance calls. So for me at least, I kind of tread lightly with using the term passive when it comes to passive income is investing in crypto and crossing your fingers basically to me. So.
Thank you. Aaron, do you want to touch on, okay, Dr. Joe? Because I saw Aaron nodding his head on something, so Dr. Joe, go ahead first. I'll come to you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I want to add to what was just said by saying that there are so many benefits of real estate. If you've heard that, there's a saying, a golden goose lays golden eggs. Okay, and so if we consider real estate the asset as the golden goose, it lays golden eggs. It provides tax benefits. It provides the ability for appreciation. There's cash flow. You can leverage the asset to do other things. So this one golden goose lays these golden eggs. So if you buy many more of these golden geese, then you have lots of golden eggs from these geese. So therefore it can multiply. And if you can play that multiplication process, then you can really leverage the power of real estate. The other thing is if you flip the house, you've sold the golden goose. Okay, so somebody else is going to get the golden eggs. But if you keep the golden goose, then it lays these golden eggs. And if you multiply it, then you get more and more and more, and therefore you can sort of build wealth and the cash flow and really leverage the true power of real estate through that way.
Thank you. So the next, you can give it to Aaron. I will ask him the next question. The next question is actually goes, I will ask you, Aaron, and I would like Matt to touch on that also. What is the outlook on the Baltimore real estate market in the next 12 to 24 months? I know you do a lot of deals in Baltimore, so
Yeah,
The reason I was nodding my head is I kind of laugh a little bit when I hear the word passive also, because me personally, I believe there's no such thing as passive income. If there is, you know, I haven't found it. But the Baltimore marketplace is, you know, people are going to continue to tear up houses. And I'm always looking for houses that we can add value through renovation or some form of value add. And Baltimore's like a beautiful place for it. I don't see it ever getting bad, or you know, it might change a little bit with interest rates, or, you know, we could analyze it to death with spreadsheets, but at the end of the day, I think if you find a passion for real estate and Baltimore in itself, I think it'll drive you to good deals. I've been doing this a long time, and honestly, when I go to buy a property, I just go on the MLS and buy one. They're always there.
That's true. That's true. Thank you. Tim.
To mirror on Aaron's point, I think from what you see from the city with all their, affordable housing grants that they're providing first-time homeowners, and then two, what they want to do with the vacant properties, there's only going up with Baltimore City development and housing. And I think that brings tons of opportunity for people looking to buy these houses that are in a distress and repair, financing them, and then building them to create value added. One, it's improving the city, which is an unbelievable thing, and community, but two, there's a lot of profit to be made from doing that.
Thank you, thank you. And Matt, on that outlook on Baltimore, you know, real estate market in the next 12 to 24 months. Is that
Yeah,
right?
so my outlook on Baltimore city real estate is, like my outlook on real estate in most places, it's positive. If you're in it for the long run, if you're thinking I'm going to buy a house and, you know, sell it 2 years, make some money, maybe, maybe not. If you're going to buy it and just keep it for 15 or 20 years and pay down a good portion of the note and hopefully get some appreciation and get some cash flow along the way, you can't go wrong. The biggest factor isn't necessarily whether it's Baltimore in the next 1 or 2 years. The biggest issue is what is your tolerance level for frustration, because you're going to experience it really, you know, investing anywhere. My outlook is good. I can't tell you if the market's going to go up or down. Anybody that tells you, you know, otherwise is just really just speculating. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I think that Baltimore has come down a lot, but I think it has a lot of potential to grow. All my units are in Baltimore City. I grew up in Baltimore City. And I've never had problems renting houses, whether it's, you know, in nice neighborhoods or, you know, down in the hood. You know, I've never had problems renting them and finding good tenants. Most of my tenants have been subsidized as well. So COVID didn't have hardly any impact on me at all. I think that if you buy right in any market, you can make a lot of money. So I wouldn't let these interest rate things scare you. You find what you're looking for. I mean, like, you go to Baltimore City, if you're looking for crack, man, you'll find it. I'll tell you where to go. If you're looking for $1 million houses, I'll tell you where to go. Up to Homeland. So you find what you're looking for. If you're looking for good deals, you'll find them. When the market is tough, it might just take a little bit longer to find it, but just be patient. You want quality, not quantity. You want to find good deals.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Matt, want to touch on that a little bit? I know you do a lot of deals in Baltimore too.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I think that I don't think rates has quite the impact that some people make it out to be on the retail side. I think once people buy into buying a house, they're bought in on many levels. They're committed to it. You know, I think you might see the market go through some ebbs and flows on the very low end where there's not a huge buyer pool. So let's say under, say, a $50,000 price point or $75,000 price point. And then on the very higher end, I mean, it's something, obviously, spikes in interest rates impact $2 million houses a lot more than $200,000 houses. So I think the rates do certainly have a little bit of an impact, but you know, when you're talking about stuff that's where you have the biggest buyer pools from, say, $150,000 to $300,000, $350,000, I certainly don't see that falling off the shelf, you know, overnight or anything like that. I think it's still pretty promising, regardless of the increase in rates.
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
How many years were you in the mortgage business?
14 or 15.
Okay, so he knows.
I know.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about rates, actually my question on rates is on 6. So I will let Thibault jump on that a little bit. So, since you're a lender, so, help us out with that one, get a short-term lending and rate stuff. So, that's my number 6 question, but let's deal with that right now.
Yes, thank you, Matthew. So rates is not something, that's not something that's stuck, it's here, it's gonna happen. Rates are definitely rising. All rates start from the Federal Reserve, which are raising their rates on a, potentially a monthly basis. So therefore, it's possible that rates will be higher both on you refinancing your long-term rental and on the short-term side. And it's just something to be cognizant of, what's your strategy? Is your strategy a rental property? Well, you have to price in the fact that rates might be a little bit higher. And if you're in it for the long run, as Matt and Matthew and Aaron are all for, and Dr. Joe, then you'll be good to go. And your asset's gonna appreciate and the cash flow is gonna be there at some point in time. But if you're looking to become $1 million, if you're looking to become a millionaire overnight, that's not gonna happen potentially in this environment. In terms of the fix and flip side, people looking to sell their homes to home buyers, even when rates rise, the demand and supply economics, demand is still there. So there's just tons of opportunity. Yeah, rates are rising and home buyers are going to be spending more for their house and they're going to be spending more on debt service. But I don't necessarily think that that's going to affect the after repair value, just because there's just a lack of supply in the market that dates back all the way to 2008 when people just stopped building houses. And second to that is there's just a lot of millennials that are looking to buy houses now. People are moving from cities to more suburban life. So both of those tailwinds, I still think that there's tons of opportunities, even in this raising interest rate environment, to buy and rent properties and make money.
Thank you. So I'll go to my number 3 questions, and I will direct this to Dr. Joel to start with that. In this economic environment, what investment strategy is more attractive? I know we have, fix and flip and buyer strategy. So the question there is, how does inflation affect investing right now? Because everything is just like this.
Sure.
Then how does interest rates, which Tibas, talk about right now, interest rates rising affect investing? Yeah,
A couple of responses to that. I've been through 4 of these cycles, as I mentioned earlier on. And one thing I can definitely say is, you don't want to be the guy standing up when the music stops. Okay, it's not good. And I've seen a lot of people get wiped out when that happens. And so for the last few years, we've all made money, even if we didn't know what we were doing. We may have made money in thinking that we were great, but in reality, it was the market that saved us. We overran our rehabs, but still made money. Okay, and we think we're great because, you see what I'm saying? Is that when the market is good, we sometimes get overconfident in that we are, better than what it is. When the market turns, which it will at some point, because all good things come to an end, then you really find out if your strategy is sustainable, if that makes sense. That's when you don't want to be the guy standing up when the music stops. So as interest rates rises, and it's going to have an effect, obviously, on for us as investors. And so I would say that it's probably a good time to be more conservative, because we don't know how this is going to play out. And but there's going to be a lot of good opportunities because there's going to be less competition. And if you have systems in place where you can ride out the turbulent waters, the choppy waters that's going to come through, then you'll be fine, because the good times will come back. And I think we all know that the best time to buy is when the competition is less. And there will be less competition, but you have to make sure you can get financing. And that's the challenge. If we can get financing, if we are bankable, then we're going to be able to take advantage of some of these opportunities that's going to present itself as all the other folks who unfortunately, thought they were better than what they were, get sort of taken out the field. So it's going to be great opportunities. I think this is the time to sort of get the knowledge, develop the relationships, get the financing in place, get all those pieces together, because there's going to be some great opportunities for savvy investors who can ride out the storm that's going to take place whenever that's going to occur.
Thank you. Mac, you want to say something about that? I know you have a lot of brain. Okay, Mac.
Yeah, I mean, I'm generally a buy and hold guy, but in terms of what puts you in the driver's seat right now, I would say anything regarding selling a house. I haven't been around forever, but
that's why you're here.
The terms, the stuff that's happening even still today with the rates even going up as they have, this stuff is unprecedented. People buying houses, in some cases almost sight unseen, with like no contingencies. People, none of this stuff is almost like, this is not real estate. You listing a house on a Thursday and having 22 offers on a Monday, that's not how this game works. So if you have something to sell right now, I would go ahead and sell it. That's what I would say. That's what I think puts you in a position to win right now. Anything, the houses are the commodity. That's what people want. They're in high demand. So, there's nothing ever wrong. I don't want to talk anybody out of holding on to real estate, but if you have some stuff that you've kind of been thinking about getting rid of, or if you're flipping houses right now, you're in the driver's seat. That's just, and that may stop tomorrow, it may stop next week, next month. At some point it will stop because some reality is going to sink into some of these people, but people buying houses sight unseen for $40,000 over ask price with no contingencies, that's pretty much pure insanity.
Thank you. So, hold on, Mike. Let me start with you on this question. What are some strategies in gaining, a competitive advantage when sourcing real estate deals? Because I know now you do a lot of wholesale too. Direct marketing directly to the owner and stuff. So in this very competitive market, probably as a wholesaler or probably as a flipper, what are the strategy in gaining competition in order to fight your competition?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a real talkative guy. I could probably go off on quite a lot about this, but the best way to find deals in any market is to be direct to seller, simply put. Get rid of the competition, find something that you're, again, direct to seller, in other words, off market with the seller. You're going to win on those deals, assuming you buy them. They're going to be winners pretty much all the time. Competitive advantage, I would say that really just, I talked to Mark about this a little bit, just kind of doing the right thing, keeping your commitment. If you're dealing with a wholesaler, following through, getting the deposit in, buying the house, not having it be a runaround at closing. If you're marketing to off-market sellers, because I get the text too, and this stuff blows me away. Hey, do you want to sell 1-2 Smith Main Street? I don't really entertain a whole lot, but you say yes. 8.5 hours later or 3 days later, they'll text back like, so tell me about the renovations you've done to the property. Well, you've lost that person, and I think the game is on some level, even though a lot of people complain about it being hard to find deals, which it is on some level, but a lot of people are making so much money when they find a deal that they've gotten kind of lazy, and so just again, keeping your word, providing good customer service if you're, and doing what you say you're gonna do, whether it's with a wholesaler, with an MLS deal, with an off-market seller, that goes a long way.
Thank you. Matt, you want to say something about that, please?
This kind of goes back to what I was talking about when I was speaking a little while ago. The more people that know you, the more deals that are going to come your way. You can be the greatest person in the world, and if no wholesalers know you, you're not getting any calls. If they all know you and they think you're a jerk, you're not getting any calls. If they all know you and they think you're great and you're going to show up and you're going to do what you say you're going to do, then you're going to get some phone calls. I do like what Matt was talking about as far as direct-to-seller marketing, because then you can kind of shortcut the wholesalers, and you can pay more than the wholesalers are going to pay, which will be paying less than what the wholesalers are going to assign the contract to you for. But what you're going to learn when you do that is that wholesaling is hard. It is a lot of work. It is a full-time job. And it's a job. It's not, people say, I'm a real estate investor. What do you do? I wholesale. You're not a real estate investor. That's not investing. That's a job. You don't believe it? What kind of taxes you pay? You don't pay investment income. You pay W-2 or 1099 income. It's taxes, work income, and that's what it is. Same with flipping houses. But back to that, another way to do it is to get in the courthouse. To the foreclosure auction sales, they happen just about every day in Baltimore City. Thursday is usually the big day, and you can go to different websites like Alex Cooper and get a list of all of the foreclosure auctions that are happening, and then look up the ones that are in areas that you want to invest in, do the research, then go down, and you're going to be bidding against some really hardcore professional wholesalers. But if you're doing it to buy and flip it yourself or to buy and hold, you have a competitive advantage over them because you're able to pay more, because your profit isn't going to be based on what you can wholesale it for. Your profit's going to be based on what you can flip it for, and the profit you make from that, the profit that you're going to make when you burr it out and walk away with a cash flowing asset with a bunch of equity. But the main thing I would say is networking, getting to know as many wholesalers as you can. Find the ones that are good. Kathy London, you in here? She left. See that? That's what you snooze, you lose. So, yeah, she's a big wholesaler. She does, I think she said 20 deals a week or something like that. So they're the ones you want to meet and go to lunch with. The truth is, most of the wholesale deals that you see, like 99% are going to, like, they're not deals. But you still got to look at them. That's it.
All right, thank you. I have another question. It's actually for Timo. So I know you're a lender, hard money lender. What kind of thing are you looking for in order to fund my deal? What do you want to see? And tell us a little bit.
So every lender is different, but my focus, primarily, pretty much 80 to 90% of it starts in the property. So, is this property valuable? Does it have a good after repair? And Aaron can tell you a little bit about this, Matthew, Matt, Dr. Joe, but when you have a good deal, and those deals, especially in this market, even if you don't know what you're doing, you'll be able to resell it for a good value. So it all starts in the property. And then when we're looking at someone that can execute, responsible, obviously, if you come to me and you have a 500 credit score, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. What happened? Did you spend a little bit too much money at Home Depot? Did you spend too much money at Best Buy? But no, but typically, especially local lenders like myself, and I represent Real Property Investment Partners. I'm the founder of the company, and we primarily focus in Baltimore City and the surrounding counties and in Maryland. And it really starts, we really understand the city. As everyone knows here, a city is a block by block place. So it's going to start by the city, but we have a bunch of lenders here. They know, you call me up, you act responsibly. We could always be flexible and work it out. So that's the key. But in this environment, like what Matt was saying, Matt was saying, was in terms of the marketplace, there's a lot of value in fixing and flipping properties, just because the buyer's market and the home buyer's market and all the incentives that are going into Baltimore City, we're seeing a lot of success and borrowers that are just flipping properties. Obviously, everyone wants to hold on and build up that portfolio and throw out those numbers. I have 20 doors, 30 doors, 40 doors, 200 doors. But you also want to make money. So there's a lot of money being made in what we're seeing from people that are fixing and flipping properties, as well as people that are renting properties but doing it the right way and having a real exit strategy.
All right, thank you. So by the way, I just remembered this. There's one of the sponsors that could unable to make it here. How many people, where are you guys buying your cabinet from? Where are you guys buying your cabinet from? This, their current, cabinet is Dan. So, you might know them.
Dan?
Yeah.
I buy my stuff from Current Cabinet. They
I
are good. In fact, I've got, they're going to deliver some cabinets for me on Monday.
Sure. So they are one of the one of the sponsors also, so you can patronize them. So their cabinet is very, very good. So I just want to keep that.
Matthew, I guess on that end, for tenant placement, from what I've seen from my borrowers, and I have plenty of them, Jack Resnick, who's here, he could stand up himself, Platinum Realty.
Hey, Jack.
He really does a hell of a job.
All right, thank you. So, so the next question, so we have answered 6 already. 7, how does real estate, depreciation, of course, matters. I've spoken about that already, help lower your taxes income. But probably I would like Dr. Joe to talk about that in like 2 minutes. How does real estate depreciation help lower your taxable income? Just in 2 minutes. Yeah.
2 minutes, no good. I'm not a CPA, so. But I think one of the benefits of real estate is the tax advantages. And if we own, I own primarily single-family houses, so you're able to depreciate over 27 and a half years. And so essentially what it means is that, typically if you buy an asset, it goes up in value, which real estate does. But for whatever reason, you can depreciate the asset over 27 and a half years. So therefore, you can offset the income that you make from your rents, from the depreciation, and therefore that's the tax benefit associated with real estate. So if you can acquire property, you can make money, but in theory, it can appear that you're not making much money, and therefore you can pay less taxes.
Yep, that's it. Any other person want to chip in on that? Okay, we're good. All right, so I believe I'm just going to throw this, out there. Everybody should know it, unless if we don't. What's the difference between passive and active investor? Anybody don't know that? Being a passive investor or an active investor? You want to talk about that? Just in 1 minute.
I think they explained it before. There's no such thing as being passive. Investing in real estate.
Say it loud. Let's say it. Say it dramatically.
Oh, in case you didn't hear me before, there's no such thing as passive income. Yeah, that's right. There's no such thing as passive. I know I've been working for a long time, so, and I wasn't worried about taxes until just recently. So it was, and I was looking at my first few houses. The furthest thing from my mind was paying taxes. I can tell you that. It was like trying to eat.
It's good you have the mic now. So let me ask you about some construction question. So how can you help? I know. By the way, Aaron is a big contractor, in Baltimore. So, although he has a lot of work, so, but let me just ask this question. I don't know, probably just talk about, helping people about construction, so I don't want to throw questions.
All I can say is, lately, for contractors, it's been good the last few years. It's been a shortage of labor, as everybody's heard, especially manual labor. So if you have access to manual labor or contractors that aren't going to rip you off and that are going to do as they say. I would be treating them like gold. And I'm not saying use me and treat me like gold, but if you know a guy that swings a hammer, or you know a guy that's willing to move a paintbrush, treat him better than you treat your banker. Treat your banker second best, but treat that guy like $1 million, man, because he might make you $1 million. And like for me, I don't, you all start getting to the I have accountants or whatever, do all that stuff, but for me, any success I've had over the years has been from value add through renovation. And have never been big enough to compete with the money guys. So I've always had to buy junk, make it look pretty good, and either sell or hold on to it. And the only way you're going to do that is to have people that know how to use tools. And I can get back behind, do the spreadsheet thing, every day, all day. But without those guys with the tools, man, I haven't been able to figure out another way of doing it. And I do believe that most of the people that have success in this room, that they might not be saying it, but they have a relationship with guys with tools.
Yeah, let me chip in another question. How do you handle the subs? The sub contract, the sub guys, like, your plumber, wherever, they mess up at times, and how do you deal with those?
Well, I mean, you just have to have a short...
They're going to come tomorrow, but, they now come in and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you find a good one, it's just like any other business. There's only 1 out of 10 of anything in Maryland's any good at anything. So, when you find that one guy,
is that
I mean, everybody deal with lawyers. Is every lawyer good? 9 out of 10 of them are terrible, right? So you find that one good one and you make sure that person's happy. And I think there's an illusion out there that just because someone doesn't speak very good English, or because they might be a little rough, or they might have a little drug problem, or whatever the case may be, they're not going to make you any money. And those people are the people who make you the money. And those, and I think we sometimes forget that. We get caught up in the interest rates, which I don't discount. I think interest rates are everything. But I also believe that in our line of work, if you want to get rich quick, which I'm sure everybody in this room would like that, it's the fastest way I know to do is to improve value, and you can't beat it in Baltimore. There's plenty of messed up houses. Go fix them up, get them done.
Gotcha. Thank you. Anybody want to chip in on that before I ask the audience a question? Matt, Dr. Joe, want to chip in on? I know you have done a lot of construction in the past too, but you have moved.
One thing I've learned about contractors is, well, it's not so much contracts, but it's anything in the real estate business. It's all about relationships. It's all about creating win-win scenarios, looking out for them. Hopefully they'll look out for you, and find out what's important to them, and make sure that you appeal to those things. Because most people are good people. Most people, contractors, a plumber just wants to do plumbing. A drywall guy wants to do drywall. A painter wants to do painting. All they want to do is that, but get paid. It's not complicated. And if you pay them, and they'll hopefully reciprocate that by providing you good work. And therefore you can start developing the relationship, and therefore they can start looking out for you, and hopefully you can then sort of start developing a team and replicating that success. It's all about relationships.
Thank you. Okay, man.
Yeah, I'd like to add something to that. I've said many times in the past that the hardest part of this whole equation is finding people to do the work. They're going to show up one time, do a good job at a reasonable price. That is, without exception, the hardest part of the job. And when this time last year when I owned over 100 units and I was typically working 2 or 3 hours a day, people couldn't believe. They're like, how the hell are you doing that with that many units? I'm pulling my hair out, and I've only got 10 units. And the thing is, and I think Aaron kind of talked about this, like, treat them like gold. When if my plumber calls up and says, yeah, I'm finished, okay, what's your cash app? Like, I'm paying them instantly, immediately. HVAC guy, same thing. My carpet guy, everybody that works for me, when they're done, they get paid that day. I don't want, and then here's what happens as a result of that. So I'm in Florida, and the tenant calls me up and says, man, I got no heat. And so I call my HVAC guy, and he goes over and looks at it and says, hey, new furnace. It's like, all right, man, go ahead and do it. And they know, like, they'll just front the money, they'll go get the furnace. I don't have to send them a third. They just do all the job. They do it. They call me up the next day and say, okay, it's done, $1,200. And I cash out them $1,200, no questions. And then next time I call them, they're going to answer the phone, right? If every time they do work for me, they're going to chase me down 3 weeks to get paid, and I call them on a Saturday morning, they're not going to answer the phone. But if I pay them immediately every time they do work for me without any BS, I call them Saturday morning, oh, it's Mark, yeah, let me get this. You're looking for a good contractor, you want to be a good customer. And that includes my electrician, Don Testerman. I've literally given him blank checks where I sign the check and say, Don, just let me know, just send me a text when you're done, just get and fill the check and go to the bank. I trust it that much. I trust all my contractors 100%. In fact, I use a master key system where all my contractors have a copy of the key, which also opens my house. And so they can get in if the tenants aren't there or whatever, it doesn't matter, they can get into all my units. And it's with the tenant's consent, obviously. We're not just gonna go and check and change their heat, the furnace filter Sunday morning unannounced. But that's one of your keys to making your life easy is a master key system, finding people that you trust to do the work and paying them fast.
Thank you. Matt, you still want to say something about that? Are you good? Just
No,
30 seconds.
not a whole lot. I mean, the bottom line is you need to, with contractors, you need to think long-term. I mean, everybody up here made good points. I've heard Aaron make this point, and I mean, if I'm being honest, it took me a while to kind of get to this point, but if a contractor comes out and says, hey, it's $2,000 to do the job, and you start going into your ninja negotiating skills and say, hey, how about $1,500? Well, did you win there? Maybe. You save $500, but when that guy does that job and realizes he made $72 doing that job, and you call him the next time, and he knows he's gonna give you, one of two things is gonna happen. He's gonna come out and that $2,000 job, he's gonna quote $2,500, because he knows, if he's smart, he's gonna say, this guy's gonna try and pop me for $500 off. So he's gonna come in with the mindset of, this guy's gonna try and negotiate. Or he's gonna say, you know what, guy's a pain in the ass. Like, he talked me off the ledge, he took my $500, I made $70 off this guy, I'm not even calling him back. So the point there is that it's very much a cliche, but it's very much a truth that a lot of people have to win in a scenario, and you need to make sure that your contractors are winning. It's not you against them, it's you and them together, and you need to both be closing that front door when that project is finished and saying, hey, you know what, we both have a positive outcome coming from this. Because if not, you're just, the people that are constantly complaining about contractors are the ones that are nickel and diming and, this and that, and, with material prices being what they are, you're spending, I see it a lot, you're spending $40, $50, $60,000 plus dollars, and you're trying to save $100 here and there, whether it's on the labor or the material side, and it's like, you're what's the term? You're missing the forest for the trees. You're just, your mindset is not where it needs to be. So you need to kind of get your mind right, and as long as you're getting a fair price, I'm not saying never negotiate and get into some money, but you just saying, oh, well, he gave me this number, so I'm immediately gonna fire back with a lower number as a knee-jerk reaction just because you think you can get a lower, that just, especially in this environment, that is not the way to go about things.
Thank you. So just one question here, and I'll call it a night. Oh my God. Okay, I'll make it two. Two questions.
Raise it higher.
Because you're right.
So I just had a quick question about just renovation costs for rental properties versus fix and flips. So I'm doing fix and flips, and I know it was just an example that Mark gave earlier about like a $20K renovation. So I just wanted to humor me for a second, what's different in a rental renovation versus a fix and flip? Like, what are you looking at to save? Are you kind of ripping out all the plumbing, HVAC, stuff like that? Because, I find myself doing a lot of that, and I, want to move into the rentals. So I'm trying to understand is there, kind of different way you renovate it, or are you looking at cleaner houses? What's going on there?
I will start with Matt, then I'll go to Aaron on that.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot to unwrap there. In rentals, I would, in some cases, you see a lot of these maybe wholesale deals coming about, and they say, oh, well, to rent it, you only need $10,000, but to flip it, it needs 70. Well, okay. Basically nothing in life lasts forever. And, you know, you actually could do more of a half-ass renovation on a flip, especially in this market, because the cast iron plumbing pipe, their home inspector might say, well, you know, that's probably at the end of its life, but there's nothing really technically wrong with it today. But if you don't replace that plumbing and you hold it as a rental, I can tell you within a year or two that it's going to be shot. You know, so what I would tell you is that for rentals, when it comes to the bare bones of the house, I would over renovate the stuff, especially when, again, you're dealing with Baltimore City. A lot of the houses have a lot of years on them. That plumbing, unless it's all PVC and somebody's replaced it, even PVC doesn't even last forever. That stuff is not going to last forever. You looking at something and saying, oh, the plumbing's fine just because, you know, this cup of water went down the drain, you're fooling yourself. So, you know, I would be even more proactive on rentals, really. Not that you want to give somebody a bad product ethically wise on the flip, but I would be even more proactive, because that stuff will fail, and it'll fail pretty quick. Especially, you know, tenants tend to beat up a house a lot, you know, so more than the common person. So you can't look at this stuff and think that, oh, it works now, so it's going to work for the next 10 or 20 years, because it will not.
Matthew,
Okay.
on that note, you also want to have flexibility in this market. So you want to have the ability to potentially rent it out and refinance, or to fix and flip the property. So if you do a cheap job on the rental and think you're gonna get an appraiser to come in there, get that refi going, next thing you know, it's not as easy to refinance, or it doesn't make sense to refinance because interest rates, you're not gonna be able to then turn around and flip it. You might have an angry lender that's like, listen, why is this taking so long? So if you do a good job, one, the property's gonna last longer, and it's gonna service you well as a long-term hold. And then two, it's gonna give you more opportunity to flip it also. So it gives you that flexibility.
Thank you, thank you. I will go to the next question, right, please.
My question is for Matt. What type of marketing are you doing that's working right now, and where are you getting your data?
Got a question? Yeah.
I would highly suggest pinpointskip.com. Pinpoint Skip, is that, did I get that right? Pinpoint Skip. No, in all seriousness, we do commercials, we do direct mail, we do the outbound stuff, the calling, the texting. We try and do relationship building with some third party a little bit. So we kind of do it all. We get our data from a number of sources, but we especially like the local Maryland company, pinpointskip.com.
Thank you, thank you. We're actually out of time. I can see like 10 people want to ask questions, but please, answering the question is going to be 30 seconds. So I will just take 2 more people and that's it. Please, I'm sorry, we're going to do this again.
Thank you. I just had a real quick question. Kind of on the appraisal, I heard the word appraisal. I wanted to know, have you guys had any instances where homes were appraised at very different levels by a couple of different appraisers? And how do you handle that? Like maybe very much under appraised?
Mark, you want to help us with that?
Nope.
If you're under appraising in this market, you really missed, you know,
guys, sorry
there. You know, if you're going to be real frank about it, I mean, a lot of people, if anything, given the trajectory of the market, when you're done that rehab, I mean, there's a lot of houses that are appraising $10,000, $20,000 higher than when you bought it, even 4 or 5 months later. In terms of dealing with that, you know, you really, I know from being in the lending side, the only way to combat that is if you have better comps than what the appraiser used. So if the house next door sold for $100,000 and he appraised your house for $100,000, you're not going to win that battle. Now, if he used a comp 2.5 miles away and you have a comp 5 doors down that sold for $150 and he appraised for $100, then you can fight that battle and hopefully win it. But that's a tough battle to win, just to put it simply.
All right, and the last question.
Good evening. My question is to all the ones that are doing the construction work. How do you deal with the gridlock of the Baltimore inspectors showing up and completing the inspection?
Aaron, you're the best person to answer that.
I'm not sure if I have the answer to that or not, but it's, I mean, look, inspections, you gotta, it's just part of the business, you know. If you do electrical, plumbing, or HVAC, or structural work, you have to get permits and you have to get it inspected, and you have to understand that if you're entering into the world of real estate, everybody's going to think that you are rich, and they're going to treat you like that, whether you are or not. And you are going to have a, you know, it's like any other relationship. It's like, I'm going to compare it to the earlier statement of treating the hammer swingers like gold. You need to treat the inspectors like gold, and you need to treat these people with respect, and just do as they say. Just do as they say. You know, it's just like the contractor that tells you, you know, hey, look, you got to pay me immediately. I mean, the inspector is going to say, do this, and you might not agree with it. You just need to do it. And I think some of the big problems people have is that they have preconceived notions of how things should go, or how they should be, or how things should be renovated, with absolutely zero relative experience whatsoever. And I think if anybody's starting out, I know I had to learn this the hard way, but you just have to kind of take this puzzle, and you're not the boss. You're kind of at the very bottom of the pyramid of everyone else. And inspectors are just like anybody else, where you might not like them, you might not agree with it, but you just have to accept it. You know, I don't want to pay 12% to this guy. You know, I don't want to. I don't want to. Right. I don't want to. You know, take crap from a guy that didn't graduate the 5th grade that knows how to, you know, wire a house or whatever. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I don't want to listen to that inspector. I don't want to do anything. I just want to make a bunch of money. You know. So. When that inspector comes out, the way I do things is I call the inspection in, especially in Baltimore City. It's easy as can be. It's a total, you know, automated thing. They always come the next day. Baltimore gets a tough rap. Believe me, go somewhere else. Baltimore's the easiest one. Baltimore, they come out the next day. You sit there like you're waiting on Comcast. The guy comes out, he walks around the house, and he tells you what you need to do, and then you do it. And the beautiful thing about it now, as opposed to, I don't know, 10 years ago or 15 years ago, is they actually put it in an automated system now. So when you get that different inspector, you can just do what's on the list, and it's like documented. So it's actually easier now than it used to be. I think you call them out there and do what they say. And if you decide to do what you think is better, you're gonna have a problem. And I don't.
Thank you. So one more, Aaron, just hold on to it. Just this one for you, and that's it.
Aaron, can you tell us a little bit about the full service that you provide with your wife, who's the heart and soul of your motivation? 50 sales since 2022.
Yeah, right.
And the full service that you provide.
I appreciate that, Chad. I'm sure she does too. And we're gonna, I owe you and Mark for these little plugs here. I am a contractor, and I'm always looking for business, more money. We recently started, we're basically a full service real estate firm, and we recently started a brokerage where, because the contracting is in such high demand, we can kind of call our own shots. So like towards the, we kind of take it all the way to the closing for you. So if we renovate for an investor and you're planning on selling it, we would also list that property, and of course we do it at a discount rate. And we're trying to be like an investor-friendly firm, and I think it's just been another service I've added to the list, to the scope of work.
Good. Thank you so
What
much.
you're saying is that Lois is, you know.
Oh, my wife has all the licenses and stuff. I don't have anything. I'm just kind of up here because I'm hungry. You know, that's the only reason. She owns it all, and she's done a really good job. Her name is Lois. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you to Matt. Last word.
Hey, sorry, I don't want to keep you guys any longer, but I just wanted to embarrass a few of my friends while we're here real quick. So I talk about the power of networking all the time and how important it is. So I just want to introduce to you some of the people that I work with. Jack, you've already heard of Jack Resnick. He is the Section 8 guy of Baltimore City. He's placed several tenants for me. And if anybody asks me about Baltimore City Section 8, I give them Jack's number.
How much does it charge?
Month's rent.
Okay.
And it's worth it. I mean, it's worth it. That's what they all do. I mean, they all charge that, but he knows all the inspectors and all that stuff. Yeah, so he's going to do, it's full service. He's not going to do like some of the other people do, like, oh, it's $100 to sit for the inspection and $100 to get to sign the lease. So Jack, Brenton Hess, and I've been friends for several years. Brenton runs the Maryland Investors Network Facebook group. If you've ever heard of it, if you haven't heard of it, the hell's wrong with you? There's like 16,000 people in there. So Brent runs that, and Marcy runs the Friday lunches at 2601 Wilkins Avenue. She's also a real estate agent that sold properties for me, and she's bought some properties from me. Okay. So these are three people that I use. Matt's trying to push me off the stage.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sorry. Thank you so much. Everyone, Chibo, you want to say something for the last time? Was good?
Yeah, one more thing. Thank you so much for everyone for coming out to this event, learning a little about real estate, networking. Thank you to all my borrowers for for coming here, representing. I love servicing you. For anyone who needs financing needs, Real Property Investment Partners, great company, and we're looking forward to working with everyone. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you so much. Tibo, Aaron, Dr. Joe.
Dr. Joe, if anybody wants to have a Q&A session with me where you can ask me all the questions you want, there's a flyer on the table. Check it out, May the 12th. Let's do it. Thanks.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Man,